She bathed in blood to stay young, at the cost of innocent lives. She was noble by birth, powerful by marriage. But behind the stone walls of her castle, she became something far more terrifying. They called her the Blood Countess. And this is the true story of Elizabeth Bathory, the most prolific female serial killer in history. Born in 1560 in the Kingdom of Hungary, Elizabeth Bathory belonged to one of the most powerful noble families in the region. She was intelligent, well-educated, fluent in Latin, German, and Hungarian. But from an early age, there were signs of something darker beneath the surface. According to stories, she witnessed brutal punishments and even participated in harming servants as a child. Power was part of her bloodline, and so was violence. At 15, she married Count Ferenc Nadasdy, a fearsome warrior known as the Black Knight of Hungary. He gifted her Castle Chaktic as a wedding present, and while he fought wars against the Ottomans, she ruled the estate in his absence, with absolute power. At first, the disappearances were easy to overlook. Peasant girls taken from nearby villages under the promise of work, domestic help, stable duties, kitchen assistance. But when they arrived, they entered a nightmare. Witnesses would later testify that Elizabeth tortured her victims in unimaginable ways. She would beat them until their bones snapped, burn their flesh with hot irons, stab them with needles, starve them for days, bite off their flesh with her teeth. Some said she froze them outside naked during winter nights. Others claimed she smeared girls with honey and left them for insects to feast upon. And the most infamous accusation of all, she bathed in their blood, believing it would preserve her youth. The torture wasn't random, it was systematic. Elizabeth had loyal servants who helped her carry out the acts. 3 women and 1 man, her inner circle. They captured, restrained, and disposed of bodies. Some girls were kept in cages, others were hung from ceilings. The cellar of the castle was a labyrinth of screams. There are accounts of her laughing during torture, taking pleasure in pain. She was obsessed with control. Sometimes she would mutilate girls slowly, keeping them alive for days while experimenting with new methods. By 1604, her husband died of illness, and Elizabeth no longer had to hide her cruelty. She became more open, bolder, and more violent. Now she began targeting daughters of minor nobility. This was a mistake. When noble families began to complain about missing daughters, the Hungarian king Matthias II took notice. In 1610, he sent an investigator, György Thurzo, the Palatine of Hungary. Thurzo arrived at Castle Chaktic unannounced. What he found would haunt him: bodies in shallow graves, girls barely alive, with open wounds, torture tools, blood-stained walls. Over 300 witness testimonies were gathered, many from locals and former servants. The accusations were consistent, terrifying. Some claimed she killed over 600 victims. The official count settled around 80, still enough to make her one of the worst murderers in history. Elizabeth's servants were tried first. Her inner circle confessed. Whether by truth or torture is unclear. They were executed. One woman had her fingers torn off with hot pincers. The man was beheaded and burned. But Bathory herself, she was a noblewoman. The king wanted her executed, but her family had influence. So they sealed her in her castle, literally. Elizabeth Bathory was walled inside a windowless room with only a small slit for food and air. She remained there for 4 years, alone, forgotten, and unrepentant. She died in 1614 at the age of 54. Her story became legend, but unlike most legends, this one was real. Some tried to argue she was framed, that the witnesses lied, that it was a political move to seize her land. But the bodies were real, the tools were real, the screams were real. She became an icon of horror, a myth rooted in truth. And today she is remembered not for her wealth or power, but for the trail of blood she left behind. Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess, a woman who bathed in blood to stay young and drowned in her own cruelty. And if you want more forgotten legends like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell.